we might have a banger, folks. You ever wondered why Palpatine was so scared? Well, not scared, but he feared Qui-Gon a lot. Why was he scared of him so much? We're gonna get straight to it.
Qui-Gon Jinn was the Jedi that Sidious feared the absolute most. Greetings, acolytes.
That's so weird, because if you think about it,
Sidious and Plagueis spent more time.
If you think about it, Qui-Gon, like, how are you scared of him? He's not scary. He's not that good at dueling. He's good with the Force. He has the green lightsaber, so that means that he's very in touch with the Force. But he's not like this fucking crazy ass Jedi to be scared of him. Like, if Palpatine was scared of, let's see, Fisto or even Mace Windu, then I would understand, because they have some crazy background. But Qui-Gon, bro,
around the Jedi than any other Sith in history under their unique.
And I'm not trying to talk down on Qui-Gon, but I know he's
dealings with the Jedi.
He's one of the goats.
Palpatine even more so once he took office as Supreme Chancellor. This afforded the Dark Lord with an unprecedented up-close look at all of his rivals. During the time preparing for Revenge of the Sith, Sidious could scope out exactly which Jedi were problematic to the cause, which of them were the most dangerous. Many might.
Yeah, you can say he was dangerous because he would have been like a father figure for Anakin.
Yoda. However,
yeah, all right. Nah, this is...
In an ironic turn,
I'm gonna start talking way too much, bro.
Rogue that posed the greatest
Fuck
threat.
it, this is my video, bro. One of the reasons why I think Palpatine did fear Qui-Gon is because Qui-Gon was going to become like a father figure for Anakin, and that's a no-no for Palpatine, obviously. Because at the end of the day, Palpatine wants Anakin to turn to the dark side, obviously. So having Qui-Gon be a father figure for Anakin, that's what he needed. That's what he fucking needed, and he would have never switched sides, bro.
To the Sith,
Anakin would have reached his full potential if Qui-Gon didn't die.
Knew had to be removed.
I'm sorry, Obi-Wan. I'm sorry, but it's the truth, bro.
The Sith's ruin should he remain alive. And Sidious saw to it that the Elder Jedi was destroyed promptly by Maul, even being satisfied to sacrifice his prized assassin in order to secure this single Jedi kill. Of all of the Jedi in history before Luke Skywalker, even more so, Qui-Gon Jinn was feared by Sidious. But what is the in-depth look at this? Why did the Sith fear Qui-Gon more than anyone else? He was not the most powerful.
That's the whole reason why he sent Darth Maul to kill him, bro.
Sidious in a duel.
How much you want to bet?
Yet, he was the most dangerous of them all. Greetings, my friends, and today we'll take an in-depth analysis on Sidious's crippling fear of the Jedi Qui-Gon Jinn. When discussing Qui-Gon,
bro is an
the topic of
optimist.
his rebellious nature and his rogue streak has to be taken into question. Qui-Gon was known for striking off on his own and bending the rules of the Jedi whenever he saw fit. It was actually abnormal if he wasn't actively at odds with the High Council at any given moment.
Yeah, he didn't even relate to the Jedi that much.
Rather than a law to live by. But unlike most Jedi that go rogue, Qui-Gon Jinn was not in the service of his own self-ambition, and was not drawn to the dark side. This, in fact, made him quite the interesting figure among the Jedi High Council.
If anything, he should have been the one with the purple lightsaber.
Relationship that he had developed with
never mind.
Qui-Gon believed that a true Jedi's purpose was listening and obeying to the will of the Force itself. For Qui-Gon, the Force was the ultimate law, not the Jedi, since the Force presided over the entire universe. In Qui-Gon's mind, the laws of mortal society always came second to that of the Force. Qui-Gon believed that the Force dictated existence itself, and that the Jedi were merely servants of it rather than the wider order. And it was for this very
Qui-Gon is like
Master Qui-Gon Jinn did something that the other Jedi did.
It's like
not.
religions with the Force, bro.
Great stake in
He's like the
prophecy.
Holy Spirit,
Even
bro.
when the High Council in this era wrote off prophecies entirely, Qui-Gon Jinn would often find himself in situations only because the Force was his ultimate compass, and prophecy was his guide map. As he taught Obi-Wan, the Force
Hey,
always
you guys
had a
should
purpose
read
for him
more
being
into the
somewhere,
story,
and
bro.
he
Obi-Wan
intended to
was a
always
pain
act
in the
upon
ass
that
as a
purpose.
Padawan.
There was a story of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan going to a remote jungle world where they would stumble across a lair of beasts that were
Space
fueled by the
Jesus
dark
all
side.
over again.
Though it was slumbering in an apparent hibernation, Qui-Gon would proceed to attack the defenseless monster and ultimately kill it, despite the fact that it showed no immediate threat. After this, Obi-Wan was upset and confused as to why they would attack a helpless creature simply slumbering, when the master calmly responded to his student that the Force had dictated that the creature must die. Qui-Gon did not question the will of the Force. He was a servant of the light, and he stated that perhaps the two of them were preventing a terrible disaster, or perhaps they were agents of retribution against the creature. They would never know. They needed only to obey. This moment illustrates that Qui-Gon Jinn was able to do something that the rest of the Jedi could not. Completely surrender his will to the Force. He made
this was
difficult
like
choices because
before,
he understands that as someone
like
who
a
is
little
able to
time
feel
before
the
they met
Force,
Anakin.
it is his duty to be the ambassador of its will. In The Phantom Menace, it is the Force that wills Qui-Gon Jinn to seek out
Obi-Wan
and
was still a
eventually land on the
Padawan
world of
in Phantom
Tatooine.
Menace.
For anyone else,
What am
this
I
was
even
an
saying?
unfortunate circumstance resulting from a stray laser, but for Qui-Gon, it was the Force drawing him to the specific world. He would get his answer shortly thereafter when he found the young slave boy Anakin Skywalker. Qui-Gon couldn't yet explain why, but he knew that the boy needed to come with them. It was the will of the Force for him to leave Tatooine. In order to ensure the boy's freedom, Qui-Gon had to gamble with a lowlife and use the Force to rig the dice in his favor. To an outsider, for a Jedi to place a wager and then use the Force to manipulate the outcome would have been unbecoming.
Was it
of them,
really the
and at
will of the
very
Force
least,
then?
An abuse of the Force. But for Qui-Gon, bending the rules was necessary, and because of this, he secured the Chosen One. Qui-Gon's ear was always to the Force, when the rest of the Jedi clearly were not. And
He
my
was
friends,
indeed
this is
the chosen
most
one.
important aspect of Qui-Gon Jinn's character, and the very same trait that made him extremely dangerous to the Sith. Perhaps the most dangerous a lone Jedi, has ever been to a Sith. Since Qui-Gon was not blinded by arrogance, the veil of the dark side that was cast over the Jedi's vision at the start of the Clone War would not have affected Qui-Gon Jinn. His relationship to the Force was too pure, and make no mistake, my friends, had Qui-Gon been around, he would have uncovered Palpatine. Not only was he the perfect master for Anakin, but he was also the perfect Jedi to defeat Sidious. What made Qui-Gon even more dangerous is the Council considered him to be a rogue, but they still trusted his judgment. They may not agree with his choices, but when he brings up a concern, it is heard by the Council, and they are still very much aware of it because of how powerful and
Qui-Gon is a goat,
Qui-Gon was. With this being an aspect that also made him very dangerous. In canon, we know that Qui-Gon Jinn was offered a seat on the Council specifically because of his perspectives. This kind of influence that he has with the higher-ups of the Order made Palpatine very uneasy, and if he were to discover the secret of the Sith, he would bring it to the Jedi Council, and Sidious would not have been ready. The Sith relied entirely on misdirection and staying hidden until the very moment where they needed to strike. Palpatine was banking on the Jedi's hubris to blind them, but someone as perceptive and humble as Qui-Gon Jinn would undo everything. And if Qui-Gon had found them, it would not be a matter of hesitation. If the Force willed it, he would strike down the Sith without a moment's notice, without a thought to what the Council would think, without a thought to what the Senate would think, without a thought of what the galaxy might think. If the Force called for Qui-Gon Jinn to strike down Palpatine, he would do it without a thought. Amazingly, Sidious would even say that this was Obi-Wan Kenobi's greatest strength when he ventured to Mustafar, the one thing that he inherited from Qui-Gon Jinn, the thing that allowed Obi-Wan to complete the impossible, defeat the Dark Chosen One. Sidious would say this to Vader: Obi-Wan succeeded because he had one goal in mind, to kill Darth Vader. Had the rest of the Jedi shown such resolve, they would have been much more difficult to topple and destroy. We may have lost.
Qui-Gon really go behind the scenes, bro.
And the Jedi's resolve that makes them the most powerful. We believe that if the Jedi Order had followed Qui-Gon Jinn, they may have become as powerful as the Jedi of the Old Republic era, the truest warriors of the light. Beyond all of what Qui-Gon Jinn could do for the Jedi, though, Sidious feared most what he could do for Anakin. Qui-Gon Jinn was the father that Anakin always desperately needed. the father that Palpatine would eventually masquerade as. Palpatine built his foundation of trust and understanding with the boy who felt completely misunderstood and needed a father. But Qui-Gon Jinn would have understood Anakin completely. Palpatine relied on the Jedi's ignorance and their approach to comfort, so much so that he knew that they would be harsh and that he would have to step in and be the one that Anakin could lead on, his very father. But Palpatine could never fill the space in Anakin's life, so long as Qui-Gon was doing it already. What's important to remember about Qui-Gon is that it is Plagueis that mentions to Sidious that he needs fear him. Not by anything Plagueis said, but because Plagueis himself feared him. Plagueis had met Qui-Gon, and he knew that he was different. In fact, when it was revealed to Plagueis that it was Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon that were sent to be the ambassadors to the blockade of Naboo, Plagueis was drawn into a panic. He even says, "Worse news yet. I have met Qui-Gon, and he is nothing like the others."
Wow, that's
when
news
Qui-Gon
to me.
located the Chosen One, Sidious and Plagueis were filled with a fear that they had never sensed before. They saw everything crumbling down, and even believed for a moment that it was too late. After Anakin and Qui-Gon left the temple for the first time, Plagueis was watching them on a landing pad, and it was then that Plagueis had received a vision of the Clone Wars and Darth Vader. And here, Plagueis knew one thing to be true. If Qui-Gon Jinn were to train the boy, that the Sith would be obliterated, and that Qui-Gon must die. In Plagueis' own words, Qui-Gon Jinn was the key to everything. Qui-Gon Jinn held the ability to train Anakin in a way where the Jedi were truly meant to be trained, to listen to the will of the Force as the son of the Force. Qui-Gon Jinn was without a doubt one of the most powerful, wise, and dangerous Jedi to the Sith in galactic history, only rivaled by the likes of Luke Skywalker.
Qui-Gon is the whole reason of Star Wars, bro.
But today, my friends, I hope that we have illustrated exactly what made Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yo, Qui-Gon is the main of Star Wars, bro, and we didn't even know that. Holy shit. Well, I kind of knew that. I knew that if Qui-Gon ended up being like a father figure for Anakin, then Anakin would have never ended up even turning to the dark side. Like it was always meant to happen like that. Obi-Wan could not train Anakin well enough for him not to turn to the dark side at the end. Because Obi-Wan is like a brother, and when Obi-Wan became a Jedi Knight, when he became a master, when Obi-Wan became a master, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. It was because Qui-Gon died. They gave him the title, but he wasn't ready to be a master. And that's one of the problems that the console did, was make Obi-Wan Anakin's master. When Obi-Wan needed a father figure, more like Mace Windu. If Mace Windu trained Anakin and been more like a father figure, then he would have never turned to the dark side. I think the whole reason why Anakin did turn to the dark side is because of faith in Obi-Wan Kenobi. But yeah, if you guys want to see more Star Wars content, make sure to like and subscribe, man. Yeah, see you in the next video.